So the big question, what rowing machine should you get? With 2022 right around the corner, you're looking to get into rowing. There are so many freaking options out there. Which rowing machine is gonna be right for you? Well, in today's video, we're gonna be looking at over 10 different rowing machines, kind of the big choice options that are out there. We're gonna be going through each and every one of them. And by the way, almost all of these rowers I have covered in-depth full videos. I have them all linked down in the description down below, as well as other rowing resources from me if you're interested in working one-on-one together or checking out my training plans, ebooks, etc. It's all linked down below. But we're gonna talk about all these different rowing machines, and I'm gonna just sit here and chat with you about my personal experience with these rowing machines. And I'm just gonna be straight up and honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything for any of these machines. So this might hurt some people's feelings. You know, there's gonna be a lot of opinions about what I'm gonna say here, but my genuine goal with this is to give you just the hard truths about the rowing machines that are out there, which ones are gonna be right for you, for your budget, for your goals, etc. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. And we're gonna start off with kind of the mid-range budget rowers first, then get into the low budget rowers, and then we're gonna talk about the big high-end rowers, the more pricier subscription-based rowers, etc. So we're gonna kick things off here with what I would consider really the gold standard and overall, for most people, the best option, the real safe, money worth it option out there, and that's the Concept 2 ROWER. This used to be called the Model D, so if you've heard Concept 2 Model D before, they just rebranded it to call it the ROWER. It's the exact same machine. And this machine here, it's the gold standard in the rowing world as far as the competitive rowing world goes. You look at all the different rowing teams that are out there, high school teams, collegiate teams, masters teams, not just in the United States, but across Europe, across the world. All of these rowing teams, when they're not rowing on the water, most of them are using the Concept 2 ROWER as their rower trainer of choice. When you hear discussion about rowing world records, etc., all of those are done on this machine. And one of the best parts about the Concept 2 that makes it so worth it is not only is it a reliable machine that's really going to last you forever. I mean, some people have their Concept 2 Model Bs from back in the 70s and 80s that still work to this day. It's a very, very sound, very reliable machine. It's also super lightweight as well. It's the lightest out of all the rowing machines we're going to talk about today. It breaks apart into 2 parts as well, which makes it really easy to transfer and storage. So it's super durable, super lightweight, very easy to move around. It doesn't require an outlet or electricity or anything like that. And it uses air resistance, which is its biggest drawback for sure, is that this machine can get really loud. Once you learn how to row well and how to row hard and fast, this thing gets really, really freaking loud. So if you're someone who lives in an apartment setting or where you have to be very conscious about neighbors and you don't want a loud rowing machine, this is a loud rowing machine, and it is the loudest out of all the rowing machines. And that really is the biggest drawback about it. Other than that, there's not a lot of frills that you're gonna get with this rowing machine. It's really designed to train and to work off of. And the Concept 2 monitor that it comes with, the PM5 monitor, that you can buy accessory attachments, things like this, to attach tablets and phones, which makes it great for doing things like follow along workouts, which I myself have, and you can find tons of different follow along workouts for a lot of different creators here on YouTube and on other apps, platforms, etc. So while they have those the ability to attach smartphones, tablets, etc., the monitor on it itself is the most reliable, data-driven monitor. It's super compact, but it really tells you everything that you need to know about your rows as far as the metrics go. Things like pace per 500 meters, watts, calories per hour. It even has things like force curves, and there's just a lot of really solid metric data that allows you to track your performance and your progress over time. With a built-in memory function as well that saves all of the past workouts that you've done, it really gives you a reliable way to track and progress your workouts. And that's one of the most important things when it comes to rowing as an exercise. And this is something that you need to understand if you're looking to get into rowing for weight loss, for fitness results in general. You need to be able to stick with this long term, and the metrics that are on this monitor, as well as being able to attach things like phones, tablets, etc., really give you all the tools you need in a very reliable, compact way. That being the machine itself, being lightweight, compact when you break it down, etc. It's an overall all around great package. And for the price of $900, it's the best value rower out there. $900 might sound cheap, but when you think about the longevity that this machine is gonna last you forever, it's been around for frickin' forever. The community is the largest rowing community that's out there. It is the best value rower that you're gonna get. So the Concept 2 is always gonna be a good choice. So moving from there though, let's talk about some other options. So more of the middle range options, things like WaterRowers. Now, if you just go to the WaterRower website, you're gonna see a variety of different models that they offer. And just to be upfront and honest, WaterRower is behind on their game as far as like just the standard water rowers on their own. There are other high-end water rowers out there, but just these standard rowers with their basic monitors, you know, the fact that you can just get this natural wood basic rowing monitor machine for $1,100, the one with the even cheaper, worse monitor on it for this more than a Concept 2, almost $1,000, and all of these just go up in price. You want the nice fancy wood? Okay, it's $1,500, and you know, there's a lot of things biomechanically with these water rowers, the ones with the 2 rails on the sides that make it very challenging to row if you've got like a larger midsection or if you're pregnant, and it makes it hard to really achieve the proper biomechanics of the rowing stroke. The traditional water rower models are just outdated, and at this point, I would hardly ever recommend just a standard water rower to anyone. Yes, the water whooshing sound is nice, and sure, the models look nice, but outside of that, you know, you're way better off with the Concept 2 as far as sticking around this price point range. Now, there's one other rower here that's kind of a hybrid because it does have a subscription tied to it, but it's one of the more affordable subscription type rowers. This is the Echelon Rower. Now, I have not reviewed an Echelon Rower before as far as sitting on it to try it, but just from what I can gauge from the design and having used tons of rowing machines in the past, like so many different models, you can just you can gauge it right away that, you know, right off the bat here, looking at this like bent handle, this like V-shaped handle, sure does look cool and futuristic, but that like internal rotation like that with your arms, like that's very anti-rowing. That's very anti-good rowing posture. And just looking at the rail here, this rail looks a lot shorter, so if you're a taller individual like myself, I'm 6'8", you know, you might struggle with that. And even just looking at like these demo videos that come with the rowers attached, you know, these guys that are on here, this is like an average height guy and he's like taking up the whole rower. You know, it's just, when I just look at the price, the fact that it's more than a Concept 2, you're gonna have a subscription tied to it, and yet you can get, you know, access to follow along workouts in so many other ways. I mean, there's no reason why you can't, you know, put your phone on a Concept 2 and use iFit, which is one of the other services you're gonna see on a bunch of these different rowers. Like, you know, this Echelon Rower, it's newer, it's not gonna be as reliable as something that's been tried and true like the Concept 2. So out of those 3, those mid-price 3, Concept 2 is always gonna be a safe bet. It really is. And with the Echelon Rower, you know, again, it looks cool, looks fancy. I can't recommend it. I also haven't personally used it, but just from what I can gather from it, and this is just me being honest, I don't see why you would get this over a Concept 2 instead. So with that being said, let's move forward here, and I'm here on Amazon and just looking through the different budget rowers that are out there. Now, I've covered a few of these before on my channel. Again, I have links for all the videos that I've done for all these in-depth reviews, but things like the Sunny Health and Fitness Magnetic Rower. Talked about this one a lot, and you know, with Amazon, it's very catchy, right? You see, oh, it's a Prime, I could get it delivered in freaking 3 days, that's awesome. You know, they cut the price, oh, $250, look at all these 13,000 reviews, 5 stars, this must be a great rower. You would only want to go for this rower if you're looking for just the bare basics of adding rowing into your fitness routine. Like, I mean, this machine has very, very low capabilities. The rowing monitor on it itself is pretty pathetic. I mean, it counts strokes, it can tell you time, but outside of that, there's really not a whole lot going on for this machine. It does have a long rail, which is good for tall people. I'm probably gonna bring up the whole height thing many times just because I'm a little biased for that. But outside of that, you know, if you've got like a full gym, right, and you wanna use rowing as maybe like something you can do in between like sets of, you know, weighted exercises, like just to keep yourself active, then sure, this machine might work for you. If you have any intentions of using rowing for weight loss, for building cardiovascular fitness long term, don't go with this rower. You are much better off saving up the money to buy a higher quality rower. The parts on these machines can burn out very quickly with constant use over time, which again, you would need to do if you want to see results with rowing. I just personally can't recommend this outside of using it for very basic supplementation to an already well-established fitness plan. But if you're looking to get serious with rowing, save your money, because once you get into rowing and you really find that you like it, you'll realize, crap, why did I even go with this machine in the first place? Now I'm out $250, $300 when I could have just saved up and got a Concept 2. A lot of people that I know that started with the Sunny rower bump up to things like a Concept 2 or a higher end rower and end up saying like, I wish I would have started with this from the beginning. So with the other rowers that are out here too, again, we just get tempted by these really high star rated reviews and these low prices. Again, if you're looking to get serious with rowing, I just simply can't recommend these rowers as far as the reliability long term, and they're just not gonna get the job done when we think about longevity. Because when it comes to fitness results, again, I'm just gonna keep reiterating it because it's so important for you to understand. Like I know when you're watching this, you're trying to get into rowing to better your health. You need something that's gonna keep you engaged, something that's gonna be reliable mechanically, and that's gonna have the metrics and numbers that you need in order to progress yourself in your journey. And the fact is, none of these machines have it. Even something like this, this Circus Fitness, it's another type of WaterRower. We can click on a machine like this, and it looks like a WaterRower, just looks a little cheaper or whatever. But the thing is, we get these, I don't know what this is, we get these monitors that are attached to these rowing machines that just give you the bare basics of what you would like, of what a rowing monitor can show you in a very unreliable way. I've reviewed this exact same monitor on one of the other like low budget rowing machines that I've covered, which I will link down below. And the thing is, again, you just don't get any reliability with these monitors at all. You don't. And the monitor is so important when it comes to rowing. Like, you might not understand that as a beginner, or you might not think that. You're like, as long as it rows, I'll be fine. Trust me, you want a monitor that works. You want a monitor that gives you all the metrics and everything that you need in a very reliable and consistent way. These machines don't do that. It might look like it does, but trust me, it does not. Once you get into rowing programs that require you to understand your pace per 500, or track your distance, track your meters, track your strokes per minute, you realize you get really screwed with these Amazon cheapo budget rowers. And so my best advice, hard and honest truth, is if you're on a budget and you want to get into rowing, I would save up. Just continue putting money away until you can save up for something a little bit more reliable. Even things like this, again, like $600. You're like, well, how about $600, Austin? Like this one. Again, it's going to come with a crap monitor. It's going to be crappy. It's not going to give you the metrics and the numbers that you need to progress yourself. I would hold off. Just my honest truth, my honest opinion for you. All right, let's get into, we're gonna start talking about more expensive stuff. Now, we're here on Nordic Track's website looking at the Nordic Track rowers. Now, I have not personally used the Nordic Track rower either. However, I have covered in depth the ProForm rower, and I want you to just see how these two machines compare. Check out this machine, the ProForm, and look at the Nordic Track. I mean, they are practically identical with design. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of agreement that they have as far as like patent standpoint of like, they might even be the same company at this point. I mean, I don't know. It just, they're so similar in so many ways. And after having experienced, rowing with a ProForm rower, boy, that was a real disappointment of a machine. Not gonna lie, especially for the price. I mean, once again, we're here at $1,000, more than a Concept 2. Nordic Track, $800 minimum for the crappiest little monitor possible. $1,300, $1,600, just super expensive rowers that, rowing high stroke rates on these rowers, these magnetic, these like cheap kind of magnetic functioning resistances. They just create this very strange rowing feeling that's very un-rowing-like. Air resistance and water resistance and high-end quality magnetic resistance, which we'll talk about more later. You just don't really get that from these rowers. Like, it does not have the best rowing feel. And this is coming from someone who also was a rower in college for all 4 years. I've done plenty of rowing out on the water. you just don't quite get that rowing feel and the capability to really push yourself to max effort, max rate, while having reliability in the machine to keep up with you and to report the metrics back to you reliably. You don't get that. You don't get that. And again, the logic is, why would I spend as much, if not more than a Concept 2, rather than just going for a Concept 2? Now you might think, well, there's an iFit membership attached to it. That's true. You can get that iFit membership on your phone and attach it to any other rower that you have. Now you might think, okay, well, what if I got the iFit with back to, these budget rowers again? Sure, you might be able to follow along with the trainer or whatever, but you're not going to be able to connect your statistics. And that is one of the things that you can do with these Nordic Track rowers, is connect your stats and things like that to the iFit, like it Bluetooth syncs it. However, I've used the iFit before when I did the Proform review, and the metrics, the split per 500s, the watts, the calculations of those were completely all over the place compared to the gold standard, the tried and true Concept 2 metrics. Like the numbers were all over. They were crazy. They weren't reliable. And so they weren't reliable, and I can't recommend it. I just simply can't. And you might be thinking, Austin, you've never sat on Nordic Track to actually do it. But again, I've sat on the Proform. They're so similar. Just the money, if this was a $600 machine, maybe there'd be more to it, more worth it, maybe. But it's like, when these prices are so close, it's like, why bother? Why bother? And that's just my honest opinion. But there is a whole class of rowers that are different than all these rowers, and these are the high-end rowers that are out there, and we're going to start by talking about them. Now, when I say high-end rowers, I'm talking about rowing machines that are all $1,500 plus, and they have subscription fees attached to them. They're the most expensive type of rowing machines that you can get out there. So we're going to start off by talking about the Hydro. Now, the Hydro is a magnetic resistance-based rowing machine. I've covered this before. Again, it's linked down below. With the magnetic resistance, it has a bit of a hum to it, kind of a high-pitched hum that's a lot different than what you would hear from these other magnetic resistance rowers, like the cheaper magnetic resistance rowers or air resistance or water resistance. Some people don't mind the sound. Some people find the high-pitched sound a little bit annoying. Personally, for me, I didn't have a problem with it. It's different, especially when you're working out. It doesn't really matter. Like, you don't really notice. And I had it in my small apartment, and I never had any neighbor complaints or anything like that. So it's very neighbor-friendly safe. Now, this machine is really freaking heavy. Just putting that out there. This thing weighs a lot. It's very cumbersome as far as moving it around. It can stand up, and you can actually get an attachment that allows you to wall mount it, I believe. Yeah, or to upright store it better. But it's one of the bigger, bulkier machines. It's kind of hard to move out of the way. So if you don't really have a spot where this thing is just going to sit and stay there, it can be a little bit, cumbersome to move in and out. Now, as far as the pricing goes, this actually is the first time I'm seeing this. This is extremely discounted right now, which for the holiday season, this is probably the sale that's going on. But the fact that it is usually a $2,300 machine and it's $1,800, that's a massive, massive discount. What you get with the Hydro, though, is you get this machine that is primarily fitness class based. And so I want you to ask yourself, like, what kind of fitness stuff do you like? Like, do you like fitness classes? Like, if you were to say, oh, I love this trainer from this gym because of the classes that they teach or whatever. Like, if you can say that, like, coaches' names and things like that because you enjoy fitness classes that much, you will love the Hydro. Because as far as fitness classes go, from a rowing standpoint, these are the most knowledgeable rowing fitness instructors that are out there. They do not really go hard into the metrics. You do have the metrics that you need, like pace per 500, watts, distance, time, stroke rate, the numbers that you need, and they are very reliable. But outside of that, Hydro is not very metrics focused. It's not very data driven. It's fitness class driven to help you get a very fun and enjoyable experience with music, with uplifting coaching. That is what Hydro is all about. And for some people, they thrive on that fitness style. People love that. If you're someone who's more data driven and you want to see the numbers and the metrics and the progress through that, Hydro's not going to be the best option for you because, again, it's fitness class based. So that's something to consider. But Hydro is an awesome machine, very reliable. I've had it and I've put couple million meters on that machine. Haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. The resistance settings on it they have so many resistance settings, and it's the first ever machine that really, really nailed down magnetic resistance well, in my opinion. So, going on to one of the other high-end rowers, Ergata. Now this is where I want to tie back the WaterRower discussion. We're talking about these WaterRowers, you know, $1,300 for just a wood WaterRower with like a basic monitor. Ergata is totally changing the game as far as metrics and data-driven rowing goes. Now, that is what they focus on. It's a gamified way to help you drive data-driven workouts. And the amount of variety of workouts that are in there and the visual aspect of it, how it calculates your different training zones based off of calibrations that you do by rowing to the best of your ability, you get a very tailored personal experience to your rowing journey, which is something that you really don't get from any of the other rowers that I've talked about. You do not get that with Concept 2. You don't get that with any of the other mid-range rowers. Definitely not with the budget rowers, that's for sure. But you don't see that on Hydro either. You get a very personalized, tailored, data-driven experience. And from there, just very visually engaging ways of rowing as far as the different training plans that are out there. They've got tons of training plans. Digital racing, where you can race with people that are in your same training level. You don't have to race all at the same time, but the computer in there is able to put together people that have done the same race, that are around your same ability, to keep you in that competitive edge. And so if you're someone who's more competitive, more data-driven, Ergata is totally changing the game in that regard. And there really is nothing else like it right now. The only thing is it's on a traditional WaterRower, and just looking at the foot plates here, if you've watched my Ergata review videos, you know these foot plates are so close together, it makes it very hard for people with very large midsections to get proper range of motion on the rowing machine. And that's just the cold and honest truth. You know, it's a sleek design, it's very it fits nicely in the home and things like that. But outside of that, it's just not very biomechanically friendly to rowing well, unless you're of like kind of an average weight, I guess. But just to show you a little bit more here, the programs that are in there, again, leading you through workouts that you have to unlock by passing or beating the previous workouts. Again, tailored to your own fitness level. You know, different interval style training workouts where, you know, again, you're getting all the metrics that you need to help you calculate your paces, you know, and tons of data-driven results, things like that. But you also have things like open and scenic rows, which you can also get on the Hydro as well, but to a much lesser extent. Again, you've got the races, and it's all in this very visually, very game-like, engaging way. So Ergata is, if I was someone who was like getting serious back into rowing as far as gaining fitness and like trying to be the best rower I could be, like rowing athlete, Ergata is the way I would go from that mindset. Again, very different from the Hydro. Hydro, fitness class based, more fun, sweaty, like hoorah workouts, which some people love. Data-driven workouts with no coaching whatsoever outside of these, you know, zones that they set for you based off of your own personal calibration. Like these are very two different mindsets and types of people that will thrive differently. And that is why I can't stand when people ask me, which is better, Austin, Ergata or Hydro? They're just different. They're different, and you need to have some self-awareness on what style of workouts work for you. Now, talking about, I know this has been a long video. If you stuck through it this long, I want to know from you, coffee, tea, or neither, you just like water? Let me know down in the comments. Are you a coffee person, a tea person, or you're like, nah, none of that, I just drink water? I'm a coffee person, but I do love my tea every once in a while. So thanks again for watching the video, you guys. It really means a lot, and I hope this is helping you out so far. I know it's just kind of a casual discussion, but I hope it's helping. Now, moving on, the City Row Go Rower. This is a newer video, my most recent rowing machine review video that I have on my channel. And it's a WaterRower style of rower that's very similar to the Hydro experience as far as it being fitness class driven. Now, one of the things I like the most about the City Go Rower is its ergonomic design compared to like the Ergata rower, where this WaterRower has a singular rail and the foot plates spread out wide across the foot plates. Once you get on a rower and you can feel the difference between these two, you realize how much more of a biomechanical advantage you have when your feet are wider and are able to be set down lower with this monorail style. Not only that, but the handle on the City Go rower is wider as well compared to the Ergata handle, and so it feels easier to row. It doesn't feel as scrunched up and awkward. While it's the same water resistance, the City Go rower feels better to row. However, the classes that are on the rower itself, just gonna be open and honest, they weren't the best. Some of the instructors knew what they were talking about. Some of them honestly didn't know a lot about what they were talking about, and they rode with kind of crappy form. Like, I'm just gonna be open and honest about it. I would say that there are just as good quality workouts, if not better, out there through other means. Again, through YouTube, maybe like my follow-along workouts or Shane from Dark Horse Rowing, like those are already much more of a higher caliber than what you're gonna get from these City Go instructors. While some of them are fun and energetic and upbeat, I don't know, they're not that great, and there's not a lot of visual representation on the City Go rower workouts as well to help you gauge your progress. They kind of just say, okay, row with this, and you just do your best, I guess. Now, one thing that the City Go rower does offer, as well as the Hydro, I forgot to talk about this, is that they both offer off of the rower experiences as well, as far as things like yoga classes, flexibility classes, especially on the Hydro. We've got a huge selection of like yoga flow videos, mobility, strength training as well. You will also see that from the City Go rower too. So if you're looking to supplement your rowing with off of the rowing style workouts, both of those offer that. The Ergata experience, you're not gonna get that from. So so I would say that is a plus for the City Go as well compared to the Ergata, is those off the rower workouts, because rowing alone shouldn't be the only thing that you do for fitness. Like, you need to add some sort of resistance, flexibility, mobility training as well as rowing, and this and the Hydro both offer that. So that is something. However, when you look at the price again, this is the same type of price and same type of subscription based. All these rowers have like $40 monthly subscriptions to them. Some have discounts, and I'm not perfect with the number there, but around $40 per month with in the same $2,000, etc. The City Go rower ranks lowest on my list of high-end rowers. I wish the Ergata experience was on the City Go rower's design, and that's all I'll say about that. Last machine that I want to talk about, the most promising of rowing machines, in my opinion, the Avaron rower. Now, Avaron is one of the newest high-end rowing machine companies that are out there, and the Avaron is the rower that I have been rowing on personally for the past almost year now. It is a combination of air and magnetic resistance, but they really nail it in a way that I just can't really describe. I've covered the Avaron in depth, again, linked down below if you want to look more into it. The resistance on the machine, though, it feels really good, and the sound of it, because it's primarily air resistance, it's not loud like the Concept 2. It doesn't whine like the Concept 2 does. It kind of gives short whoosh, woof, like bursts of air that aren't gonna annoy your neighbors. This is also a machine that has a very light design to it as well, as far as it not being super heavy. And I wonder if I can find a photo here. I don't think I can, but this machine actually folds in half as a way of storing it away, which is unique compared to all the other rowers. I guess the Nordic Track rowers and the Proform rowers can also fold as well, but the Avaron folds super easily. And that's one of the things that I really like about it too. You get the nice big TV screen on it too, but there's so much that goes on with the Avaron. And when I say it's one of the most promising machines, is that I have talked one-on-one with the CEO many times, and this is the first rowing company that when I have given them feedback, they actually implement the feedback in a super timely manner. And this is just something I've just never seen from any company ever. Like, this is a genuine rowing company that is trying to make the best machine possible. Combination air magnetic resistance. It has 16 different resistance levels, all of which feel insanely different from each other. And you can really find some hard and heavy strokes on this, or some light and easy strokes. And the variety of the different workouts that they have on there is one of the coolest things about it, is that they've got so much variety in the style of workouts, because it's very game driven. But you have things like racing you can do. You have scenic things. This thing is scrolling. Oh, there we go. It was scrolling a little slowly. Again, you can race with others. You can set up little groups and rooms to race against each other, but it has a huge variety of different games that you can play. Chasing games, blaster games, even like classic computer games, like you know, with the little paddle at the bottom and the ball that bounces and hits the bricks. Was all over that back in the mid 90s. They've got games like that. They've got unique categories like pros versus Joes, where they actually bring in like professional athletes from different sports, record them, and you can race against them and see where you stack up. And they've even got basic things like just the normal metrics monitor that allows you to track all the data that you would want to. Very data driven as well, but it doesn't have something like the calibration, the personal calibration that you would get from something like the Ergata experience. It doesn't offer, specific workout training zones, etc. That's very unique, again, to the Ergata experience. But this gives you all the metrics that you would need. And as far as the guided programs that are on the Avaron, there are so many different on the rower, off the rower, and hybrid workouts that you're going to get from this machine. Now, they are not guided by a coach. They are not guided in this cool kind of gamified way like on the Ergata, but it gives you the example of like what you're looking for. Like, this is a little screenshot of it right here, where it coaches you through the variety of different workouts that are out there. Distance workout, timed workouts, workouts that automatically adjust the different resistance levels on your machine as well. And again, on the rower, off the rower, etc. Not only that, but you also get things like access to YouTube. So if you wanted to YouTube follow along workouts, you can do that and have the metrics that you're rowing with be displayed on your machine while you're following along with the YouTube video. And just for full disclosure as well, my app, my rowing workout app, Just Row, is going to be a primary feature on the Avaron rower as well. So you're gonna have access to the coached follow-along workouts with me personally. And just going back to the whole, thing with being able to talk one-on-one with the CEO and being able to give feedback that gets implemented, the potential for Avaron to really kind of take over the high-end rowing market is there, and it's hybrid of games but also data-driven structured program workouts, really making a nice hybrid between the hydro and the Ergata. And I mentioned the resistance a bit, but as far as like the biomechanical design of it too, really innovative stuff, because their foot plates are nice and wide as it should be. The rail here you can see is at a slight angle downwards, which actually encourages you to row with proper form as you come up for each stroke. The handle, it rotates in your hand to promote like proper flat wrists when you're rowing. Like, it just has a ton of different innovations that make it a very nice rower to row on. It just feels good to row well on it. So with all of these rowers, all these high-end rowers, they all need to be plugged in. They all have subscriptions. They all need internet to work. And that's the biggest drawback about all of these different rowers. They all have their own unique experience, but if you don't have internet or a reliable outlet to like row with them on, you're gonna like it's a huge drawback, and that does suck about these rowers. Like, that is a really huge bummer. And something like Concept 2, again, you're gonna be able to take that outside if you want to row with it. It just takes batteries in the monitor that last forever. And I guess that's kind of all I have to say. I hope this made sense, and I know it was kind of a longer, drawn-out video, but I hope this could give you some insight into the different rowers that are out there, the different experiences that are out there. And if you have any questions on any of this, and you have personal, like, do you think this might be right for me because of this, blah, 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 let me know down in the comments. Let's get you the right rower that's gonna work for you. Hopefully this could provide some good insight though. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know how it all goes for you. Really excited for the year to come, and I hope you guys are excited for you in your own rowing journey too. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next workout. Oh wait, not workout, what the? I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.